Morning, everyone, to the Board of County Commissioners regular meeting, May 21st, 2024. To get started, with you stand and join me in the pledge.
Of the United States and to the republic and with liberty and justice.
Thank you. Do we have any additions to the agenda?
We have a removal of item number 5 on my time, the consideration of scope application will be removed.
Okay. Nothing else, the agenda will be approved. Next up is constituent time. Anybody in the room that'd like to address the board at this time? Okay, if you'd come up and in front of the microphone and state your name and address for the record, please.
I'm Penny Pauline Boisher, 24601 Sorrento Lane. And of course, Cedar Ridge. 81413. Well, good morning, commissioners. As a concerned citizen and resident of Cedar Mesa, I recognize the need for placement of new road signs on the west part of Cedar Mesa Road. That is for safety signs. As you know, this road is steep, has blind spots, and serves Redlands Mesa as well as Cedar Mesa. It has rockfall to be aware of, as well as deer and animals. It has double yellow lines all the way down. Our area has grown over the years, and now the road has increased car and truck traffic. So why am I asking for additional signs? There is a development on the west face or side of Cedar Mesa that wishes to access the road. The numbers are 24142 and 24144. Their access is onto the steep, winding Cedar Mesa County Road. It is important to alert drivers to vehicles coming from this development. Those vehicles would have just a few seconds to turn onto Cedar Mesa Road. Without signage, vehicles coming up or down Cedar Mesa Road would be at risk for collisions with vehicles coming from this new entry point. The speed limit is 35, which is too fast for such a road. However, on the east face of Cedar Mesa, there is signage for safety. Hidden entrance. Can we have a similar signage on the west side of Cedar Mesa Road, which in fact is much busier? I am presenting photos for your review. The development area addresses, photos of the warning signs along the east face of Cedar Mesa, and photos of the road and of the traffic. Thank you for your consideration and your service. And also, copies are given to the traffic engineer, Mr. Kraken. And so here are the photos and copies of my verbal presentation. So I would like to have you look at these. And Oh, that was for the traffic and stuff. Let me get it. Sure. Take your time. That's okay, it's just, they're all the same. Listen.
Okay, well, thank you for bringing that to our attention. We have a road and bridge meeting this afternoon at 1 o'clock, and we'll address that at the time on that.
Okay,
Thank you very
I'm
much.
sorry, I don't have my hearing aids.
Oh,
on.
okay.
What did you say?
We have a road and bridge meeting this afternoon at 1 o'clock,
At one,
and we'll discuss
okay,
the.
yeah. So please do take a look at
Mhm.
these photos and you see what I'm talking about.
Okay,
And there's, I just want to make sure that you see the sign, and that's on the east side, where it drops off on the east side. And so they have the sign there already. So I think it would be a very good to have such a sign. Or I'd like black and yellow light, but I don't know if we could go for that. So, well, anyway, well, thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anybody else in the room that would like to address the board? If not, anybody on the computer? Nobody on the computer, okay. We'll continue with our agenda. Next up is County Clerk Terry Stevenson.
I have the minutes for the May 7th, BOCC regular meeting. Do you have additional changes or deletions?
One, H2, line 11. It says, and the hard, it should be, and the hard work they are putting in. Oh, thank you.
So we have the minutes for May 9th, the board special meeting. Are there any additions, deletions, or?
I have none.
None here.
Okay, that's good.
Okay, so I do also have an application for a special event permit for the American Legion Wilson Head Post number 97, located at 40772 Lamborn Mesa Road for July 4th, 5th, 6th of 2024 from 4 p.m. till 2 a.m. This is an annual event that they have, and there has been no reported issues. I received all necessary documentation and fees have been submitted, therefore I would recommend approval of this special events permit.
I move the board approve the special events permit for the American Legion Wilson Head Post number 97, located at 40772 Lamborn Mesa Road, Paonia, for July 4, 5, and 6, 2024.
Second the motion?
There's a motion and second on the floor. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
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 Aye, so done. The veterans are gonna party till 2 o'clock in the morning. Good for them.
They go pretty strong over there. I also have the board's consideration of an application to report changes for Empty Space LLC doing business as Electric Mountain Lodge located at 41338 Electric Mountain Lane in Paonia. The changes that they are requesting are to expand the existing area on their property where alcohol can be permitted. I think you have a map in your packet that will show you where it is. Also, they also have put in there on page 24 in your packet what they are doing for their changes. I think that it is still located within the property and there should be no issues for them to expand that area.
Hearing none, I'll move the board approve the changes for Empty Spaces LLC Electric Mountain Lodge located at 41338 Electric Mountain Lane in Paonia to expand the area on the property where alcohol is permitted.
Second?
Motion and second on the floor. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
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 Aye, so done. Thank you.
I have, thank you very much.
Thank you. Next up, commissioner business. The first on the agenda is the board's consideration and award a final bid tally for 2024 RFP 16 Blake Field Snow Removal Equipment Building.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We have discussed this for a number of years. We've been presented a bit of a challenge out there in the last number of months, because of the relocation of the FBO office. And then also a survey that the FAA put out about ADA compliance. So we need to move forward with trying to bring up our ADA plan out there, and this building for snow removal equipment, and will also serve as a possible meeting space or even a place for pilots coming in to use an ADA approved restroom. So on here you see three prices. The low bidder of the $124,000, that is actually a wood building. So given the nature of the work out there and the fact that we are trying to have a little more longevity, I am going to encourage the board to go with the bidder number one, which is $176,000. It is more money, but it is a steel building, and this will help us with fire protection issues, and also just help us with the longevity of the building, because we're talking about having an unfinished interior. And I really don't like leaving wood exposed on the inside of a building for the length of time that we're talking here. So any questions I can help with here?
What is the size of the building?
This is a 60 by 35 building.
Besides the bathroom, anything else in there?
It's gonna have two 12 by 12 roll-up doors for a snowplow to pull in and out. And it's about, I think 14-foot walls, so.
Yeah, we don't want to build something that requires more and more maintenance.
Yeah.
I will move the board approve and authorize chair to sign a bid for the snow removal building at Blake Field 2024 RFP 16 to bidder number one, Legacy General Contracting, in the amount of $176,700.
I'll second the motion.
Motion is second on the floor. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, so done. Thank you. Next, we have the board's consideration and award a final bid tally for 2024 RFP 17 boat ramp shade structure.
So our crane landing boat ramp that we finished up last year, this shade structure is part of the improvement plan that we developed out there. We are looking at doing a steel structure out there, just so there's no chance of burning or damage that way. We have 4 bidders come in. The low bid was $35,000. We have like I said, it's an all steel structure, and we are going to put a metal lid in underneath to keep birds and bugs from nesting in there. And it'll also help with the lift on the wind, so we don't have roof issues there. So I'm going to suggest that the board go with bidder number 2 here. They are the low bidder, and this will be paid for out of conservation funds.
What's the size on this one?
This is a 20 by 16. Any questions?
I'll move the board approve the purchase and installation of a boat ramp shade structure at the Cranes Landing Boat Ramp. Award to bidder number 2, Legacy General Contracting, in the amount of $35,600.
Second the motion?
Motion and second on the floor. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. So done. Thank you. Next up is item number 3. Board's consideration of a resolution. Get back to the agenda.
Commander Scott, you wanna kick this off?
This resolution is to
Is your microphone? There you go.
give
Thank you.
us a cushion as we return vehicles to the lease company, so we do not go over the amount that we have set for it. And that's all it is basically a cushion. So as we return vehicles, they're still on us until they sell it. So if you pick up another vehicle, basically you would have 2 that you're paying for until that one sells.
I mean, it's only a 3-page resolution, but how many lawyers did we hire to write this one? Just curious.
You per page. Only have 5 fingers.
Okay.
As far as selling the vehicles, what do you mean by there? The sheriff's department or the county would put up a advertisement for the.
No,
This is the return to the lease company.
Dealership, but
Sold at
we're
the
just
dealership.
responsible for it until it's sold.
Okay,
And that's what we just, that's how they do the lease date, which was left off on the first one, but we basically have to have that cushion to don't sell.
okay.
So I don't have a, don't necessarily have a concern with this. I'm more concerned with the fact that this seems to be a number of resolutions we've had to correct on their contract from the beginning. So are we at a spot now? We got everything secure with them?
Yes. We had a Zoom call with the owner of Unified and there was just a misunderstanding between us and them on basically how it worked.
Commissioner, that's not necessarily how it worked. The first resolution was to continue with the relationship on our existing vehicles. This resolution is to continue the relationship based on the RFP that was awarded towards the end of last year for any additional vehicles moving forward. If that makes sense.
Including the sheriff's vehicle at the end, right?
Well, yeah, for any vehicles that we have existing and anything that's approved moving forward.
Well, I'm still not 100% sold on the lease program, as you guys well know anyways, so, but understood. You want me to read the long resolution? Is that what you're saying?
I do.
What resolution number are we here?
Oh, wait, is that right, Gary?
Okay, well, I'll move that the board approve resolution number 2024-R-08, a resolution to authorize the execution and delivery of a municipal lease purchase agreement with respect to the acquisition, financing, and leasing of certain equipment for the public benefit within the terms provided herein, authorizing the execution and delivery of the documents required in connection therewith, and authorizing the taking of all other actions necessary to the consummation of the transaction contemplated by this resolution. I feel dirty just reading that, so.
You just got a law degree. I'll second.
Motion and second on the floor. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
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 Aye, so done. Thank you.
Security, but I think we got it under control. Sure. Yeah. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item number 4, board's consideration and dedication of right of way along the west side of 2100 road to Delta County per Grand Garnet Mesa solar permit condition number 3.
They've asked for this to be moved to June 4th.
Okay,
Will they have a representative here?
Yes, that's the email I just got.
okay, we'll scratch that one. Next up are the warrant ratification.
I'll move that the board ratify the warrants from the various funds. Expenditures paid by warrant numbers 150914 through 151206 and ACH transactions 714 through 738. From April 1st, 2024 through April 30th, 2024, totaling $2,250,854.98 in accounts payable and $1,733,697.71 in monthly county human services and health department April 2024 payroll for items budget approved per Delta County policy.
Second.
Motion and second on the floor. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
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 Aye, so done. Thank you. Next up, we have Lindsay with review of our BOCC schedule. Is your microphone on?
Okay, to finish out May, today we have the Road and Bridge work session and the Board of Health meeting. May 21st, which is today, then at 5:15, we have the Western Slope Outdoor Alliance. May 23rd at 8:30 is an AGNC legislative call.
Those are canceled for the rest of the year.
Oh. sorry. May 23rd at 5:30, excuse me, that's part of the agenda. May 24th, 8:30 AM, we have a special meeting award of RFP bid 18. May 27th, all day is Memorial Day. The Delta County offices will be closed. May 28th through May 30th is CCI Summer Conference. And June.
Can we stop right there for a second, Lindsay?
Sure.
On the 24th, I was contacted by the Western Colorado Land Trust. They're doing the willow planting at the Cranes Landing boat ramp, 2 to 4. I'm gonna try to make that one.
Okay.
Are either of you gonna?
Yeah, why don't you go ahead and put it on the schedule? I'll try to be there too.
May 24th at what time?
2 to 4. And then on the 27th, Memorial Day, I know there's ceremonies at the cemeteries. 10 o'clock's Riverside.
Are you guys gonna be together? on that?
Probably not.
Probably not.
Okay. Then on the 30th, I was contacted by the gentleman at Schweitzer Lake, and I can't remember his name now.
Scott Ribs.
Scott. They're doing an open house on their expansion plans at 3:30. We'll be coming back from CCI. But probably ought to put that on schedule in the event we can make it. Thank you.
June 4th is our next Board of County Commissioners regularly scheduled meeting. June 4th at 6 PM is the Republican Party meeting. June 18th is the Board of County Commissioners regularly scheduled meeting. June 18th, 1 to 2:30 is a written work session. June 18th, 3:30 to 4:30 is the Board of Health meeting. June 19th, the Delta County offices will be closed, observance of Juneteenth. And that took us through June.
June 14th, we have the Adobe Spring Cleanup Day.
Yes,
It's on a Friday.
yes, June. And that is on our, that is 8 AM to 12 PM, that'll be at Track Club Road, and that is on our Facebook events. And on our website. Adobe Data and
Okay,
June 14th will be there.
thank you, Lindsay. Appreciate that. We have the Delta County Detention Facility Population Count Report for Sunday, May 19th, 2024. Male inmates County Jail 29, female inmates County Jail 4, male inmates Department of Corrections 6, female inmates Department of Corrections 0, for a total of 39. Average daily inmate population for the week of 5/12/24 through 5/19/24 was 42.12. Next at 9:30, we have Human Services. So if there's nothing else, we'll stand adjourned until 9:30. Thank you. Hey, it's 9:30. Welcome back to the OCC meeting. Next up is Human Services, Annie Gallegos and her crew.
We'll start with the payment approval report, sorry, I didn't do that to you first. We've closed out the first quarter. And so we've kind of leveled out in our expenditures, nothing like crazy at the beginning of the year, like the insurance payment. There's a lot of conferences since they're starting up again. Was there any questions regarding what's on the payment approval? And then overall, we're supposed to be around 25%. We're at 24.6. I was able to catch up on some grant billings, so our revenue is starting to be over expenditure.
Always a good
Which is a good thing. Yeah. And just the fund summary. Nothing exciting.
Nicole, in your notes here, it says the child welfare block is expected to be overspent, but will come back into balance. Are you gonna cover that later?
Committee, but usually at the end of the, so June 30th, they make the counties whole when they overspend in different sections. But for us, we're actually at all of our targets. We're not overspent anything but
The block.
overall. Or
Yeah, so the child welfare block, we're at 84.7%. We should be at 74, I think. We're at 93%, I think, for April, and we should be at 88. So we're over a little bit. They're predicting that we'll be overspent by about, they're listing $330,000 that we'd be over. However, that's it if we stayed with the same numbers consistently and didn't have, other placements. So that can fluctuate a little bit, but we go to mitigation every year usually, and it's a process. The form is due the 7th of July or June, and one of the Southwest directors that sits on the board for CWAC, they have actually gone through all of balance of state counties, and so there's no concerns of not being made whole, because balance of state right now is on track. So they're predicting every county that's over right now will be made whole.
What's the root cause of the overage? Is it things are more expensive, inflationary pressures, or is it more cases?
It's placement cost usually. So placement costs and then a few with salaries. Because when they did the 2016 work study, they decided that there was about 300 more caseworkers needed throughout the state. And so they allocated certain money. So we have in our 242 staffing is what they call it. We get about $300,000 a year. That's 100% for salaries because we needed to create new positions. but they never fully funded 344. JBC said that they were going to do that this year. For this next year, we'll see if they do. If that happens, then we should see the full 242 come in and pull that money from the block down to use in that staffing category. So.
Thank you.
I think, oh, and then LEAP, the application period for LEAP ended on 4/30, so those that are in the program are still until it reopens for applications again, but the application period is closed.
Thank you.
Next, we can talk a little bit about, Lori's group, and I think the biggest piece she wanted to share as well is really the struggle that you've probably all heard about several times with CVMS going down. Especially last month, it went down for 3.5 days. During that time, it has.
Sorry, Andy, you want to just explain the acronym?
Colorado Benefits Management System. So it's the state automated system that they use in order to process cases for SNAP, Medicaid, your adult financial, TANF. It all uses that one program. And when it goes down, you can't do anything. There's no workaround. There's no paper that you can process differently. We can't assign benefits. So if someone came in and needed expedited benefits, you can't do any of those things. Do you want to share a little bit more about what that's like and seeing?
Yeah, so the state kind of did some tracking for the month of April based on, I mean, there were several outages periodically that were mainly what they call errors, 237 errors or 1405 errors. I don't know what they are specifically, but that's what they call them. And so a lot of that times that causes a lot of slowness in the system as far as processing. It also doesn't allow those errors, don't allow for authorizations to happen for cases to be open or denied or whatever needs to take place with those. So on the chart that we submitted, starting with April 3rd, and it goes through just April 21st, there were 8 incidents that they recorded, with the last one on from 419 through 421 being the longest, and that was due to a firewall security. I think that was probably somewhat anticipated, but it wasn't handled very well, and so it did put us out of commission for an entire day. I think we had to send some staff home because we couldn't do anything. The state is aware, counties are speaking to the different CDHS and HIPAA regarding our timeliness, because that does affect us. If applications are due on a day that we can't process it, then we would have to wait till the next day or possibly on Monday, 3 days later, to process a case, and then it's going to show that it's 2 or 3 days late, which then impacts our timeliness for the state. So they have been in communications with the state, trying to figure out how they can work with counties so that doesn't impact us negatively. And they are looking, I know HIPAA has talked about some solutions to mitigate that a little bit.
You mentioned the firewall was a procedure that didn't go smoothly. Is any of it outside people hacking into the system, or is it just internal glitches in the computer?
As they haven't mentioned anything about outside hackers or outside hacking into the system. They stated it was firewall security maintenance, so I don't know exactly if that was just maintenance on the system that they had, or if they were installing maybe further security. I'm not really sure. They didn't go into that much detail.
So CBMS has been a problem since I've been on this board. I mean, we've had constant issues with it. I know when I go to CCI, all these other counties, Weld County actually had it figured out how many people are not being able to be served for every hour that it's shut down.
Yeah.
And, you know, we get the same song and dance. Is anything changing with, you know, what they're gonna do to try to fix this, or are we still getting the same BS answers from them?
I think that, I know that CHSDA and CCI signed off on a letter to send to the state as well, requesting that they look at what is going on, what is happening with the system. Does it need a change? Does it need an upgrade? What the issues are? There's not a solution yet, and there's not a response. I think it's gonna take more money from the state that the state is asking for, in order to improve it, but that's their solution, is that they need more money to fix it. And so in the meantime, I mean, it's affecting every county, right? It's not just, you know, one
Right.
county this is happening to, it's all 64 at the same time. Which is impacting, I think when they talked about those numbers from Weld County, those numbers were pretty detrimental, right? And so when you're thinking 64, it's a lot. But so far there's no solution, and it's just a lot of pushback from, I think, directors and commissioners right now.
Oh, and it's a 20-year-old system that they keep updating based on program rules, laws changing. So they are pushing every month, every week to change something in that system. And it causes a lot of issues in the meantime. So,
Well, then the state doesn't have a real good track record for introducing new systems, so everybody's scared of a new system too, so.
Well, I mean, even when we looked at Trails Legacy and they were gonna go move to Trails Mod, that's still broken. We're still in two different program areas. And they're just now maybe gonna have assessment in there. Financial just went in, I think, this past year, and that, I mean, that's been a 5-year project. It's still not completed.
Get
So-
errors, unpaid providers.
And CBMS is huge compared to those programs, so.
The only one that works well is CAPS.
Don't-
Right? As soon as I said it.
I was gonna say, don't say nothing, it'll blow up.
Right. And that's the adult protection. So, but they're also, part of what, this system tied to then what case management agencies are seeing for our long-term care individuals, and kiddos that are on specific waivers, that's affecting those populations too. So it's all playing a role to where it's not just, one program area, it literally is every program area that is affecting others as well, so. Keep working on it.
What can we do to advocate to get this kind of CBMS issues resolved for you guys?
I think it's continuing to advocate from CCI's lens to the state and request that they're gonna have to either figure out if they want to stay with this system and fix it, or if they're gonna have to do a new system and go through a whole nother process. And I don't know what choice they want to make. The hard part is that we will have to live with whatever choice they make. So.
Because Don's got the tremendous bully pulpit right now.
Yeah,
I don't know about
really
that.
loud.
It's been hours of issues discussing it with the people in these committees, with legislators, and I think it's one of those things, it's so big that nobody even knows how to do it, so. But it's, like, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time, so,
And fixing software is not a very sexy topic.
nope, nope.
The other piece is our Medicaid incentives. So this year, what they're doing is sending out surveys. And so we're continuing to advertise and grow the population that completes the surveys, and that's what the incentives are going to be based on. So we just received our last update, I want to say about 2 weeks ago, and so we had 34 and 34, and now we had 41, which isn't a lot of people completing that survey. So we're continuing to push out a QR code and send emails. Lindsay helped us in the past. We'll do another push out of that. And so I'm comfortable with the numbers that we have, that we will do well to receive the incentives. And I'm not worried about that, but that's one thing we're trying to push. You'll see a lot of that out there as well. And it talks about customer satisfaction as well and things like that. So, which is a pretty remarkable, the scores that we're getting for how much the system is having issues, which means as frustrated as the techs are for work, they're still being very kind, respectful to the individuals who are probably very frustrated when we call them as well. So proud of our staff for that. Alrighty. Next up will be child welfare. We want to thank the board and everybody who attended our fair this year. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I wasn't there for the whole part, so I missed you guys cooking hot dogs. I apologize. All the feedback that we've received, and when I made it there and I talked to all of the vendors and the other people that were attending, it was very well received. They really appreciated it. They all noted that it was the 3rd annual. And the petting zoo was a big hit. We will thank our admin assistant Erica Anderson for providing the animals and making that event available for the kids. They really enjoyed that. It was also nice to get all of our child placement agencies
at one time to meet and talk to each other. And Project 146, which we are looking at bringing in to assist us with recruiting and retaining kinship and foster parents for the CPAs. They don't license, they just help recruit. And some other services that we are looking at. A care portal where we can provide some more, the community can provide some more assistance to families in need. Without having to use our county dollars. To meet some of those basic needs like beds or clothing or groceries and different things like that. So we're excited about the partnerships that grew that day.
Very good.
I'd like to talk a little bit with you guys offline about that, because when we did the Partners Palooza this year, the community connection fair, the biggest thing that we got from the feedback was the nonprofits being able to interact with each other. That was the biggest draw when we sent out the surveys for feedback. They said it wasn't so much that we got to interact with the public as much as we got to interact with each other. So maybe there's, you know, a fair that we have just for those agencies to come together, those nonprofits to come together and really network with each other. And then rebrand some of these festivals to more market our community members to come in. Because when we say child abuse prevention fair, we're not really advocating for those kinds of people to come, you know, when we're saying nonprofit fair, we're not really speaking to our community. So I'd like to do those things in the future.
We've talked about it a couple times for differential response that we're rolling out this year. And that will be, our first training is June 4th, and that's in person. So we are partnered with Montrose, and so the state will be here, and we'll start that process. And that is our prevention track. So more engagement with families. Last but not least, with the adult protection, I think we're very excited. One of our caseworkers was selected to travel to New Mexico for a conference, and she was sponsored through a scholarship, and they also are including travel fees as well as part of those pieces to fund. So it's going to be very helpful to our county, but there's several caseworkers from Colorado going in attendance. So we're excited for her, and it'll be great. We're excited to see what she brings back. Anything else you want to add about adult protection?
Adult protections numbers have picked up a little bit over the last month in some higher level cases. And so the caseworkers are doing really well, engaging partners and having community staffings. And we also just had another adult protection team meeting with all the community members and had some good presentations about the Office of Public Guardianship. And so definitely moving forward and making progress.
Guardianships are some of those hard cases, and I think even, you know, we've met with the county attorney about it too. They're just difficult, and there's no family to do that. You know, what does that look like, and what's the county's role, and all those things. So it makes them difficult to work, but we get creative. We usually find out a very creative solution, and I think we have to do that in our rural areas, but we can do it. So I think that's all we have, unless you have any questions for us related to anything else.
Did you and your husband milk the cow at the petting zoo, or did I miss that?
You know, that'll be a goal. That'll be my life goal for you this year. I will pencil that in to figure out how to do that.
Okay. No, that was a very good event, and it ended very well, and the motorcycle club that supports the child abuse victims, nice to see them there, and the advocacy that they bring, which is kind of unusual if you weren't aware of anything like that happening. It's kind of neat anyway.
They do amazing work with victims and just being supportive.
That's great, great. And thank you and all your crew for your hard work. And like you say, there's child cases and adult cases that are very difficult. And I'm sure the stress can be sometimes overwhelming, but thank you and your crew for hanging in there. We appreciate it. Thank you.
They really work hard. Feel free, thank you.
Annie, is there any other events coming up we need to put on our calendars?
We did in the summertime do, I think it was Elder Awareness Day, I think, so I don't know if we're planning anything for that. I'll have to see if we're gonna do that.
So
Oh, yeah, when we roll out far, then we'll have, there's an event for that.
You know, it's something it was done in, oh, it might have been 7, 8 years ago now in Montrose. They did a kind of an adult awareness, you know, elderly awareness type event there at the pavilion. And it was attended pretty well. They had a lot of different speakers come and talk on different topics. And, you know, there might be something that we need to consider because there's a lot of scams going on right now out there and they're taking advantage of the elderly population very bad. I've seen just some terrible stuff in my private job. And so it might be something we need to try to bring some awareness to. So
We did one last year. It wasn't very big, but one of the things I think would be really unique is if we could partner also with the paramedicine program for that event too, because I think they have been tremendously helpful. So in cases where we just have individuals that are homebound and struggling, they are providing exceptional service by going in sometimes daily to provide medication. They're very, very helpful. So I think that would be something to partner with them too as well.
Okay.
Yeah, that'd be great. Yep.
All right.
We can get
Well,
on
let me know
this.
if I can help.
Sounds great. Thank you.
Thanks.
thank you very much. Is there anything else that need to come before the board?
I have none.
Okay, well, we will stand adjourned. Thank you.